So, what if the next 90 days could completely rewrite the direction of your life? I mean, not through sheer luck, and definitely not through some magic shortcut, but through one incredibly radical decision: to just step away from the noise and entirely disappear. Think about your current reality for a second. The average person spends, 6 to 7 hours a day just staring at a screen? We're totally trapped in this loop of constant notifications, doom scrolling, and endless social obligations. But imagine hitting the pause button on that entire daily grind. Imagine silencing all of it, stepping completely out of the chaos, and rebuilding your foundation from the ground up. Welcome to this explainer on the 90-day life transformation. Today we're going to break down a highly specific, pretty intense personal development framework found in our source material. It's built entirely on isolation, extreme focus, and unwavering discipline. Now we're looking at this not as a personal endorsement, but really as a fascinating psychological study of what actually happens when a person decides they're just tired of getting by. It's a calculated system designed to force a massive leap forward. The source material actually provides this literal architectural blueprint for a new life. Every branch and node mapped out here represents a deliberate, calculated step in this 90-day framework. So, instead of just talking in vague generalities, we're going to decode this exact map step by step. We'll extract the core strategies to clearly understand how this system operates, why on earth it demands such extreme measures, and how all these individual pieces connect to form a cohesive transformation.
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, the disappearance phase. Second, foundations of success. Third, the 5 core pillars. Fourth, protective boundaries. And finally, we'll wrap up with the 90-day journey. Let's dive in.
Section 1. The disappearance phase. You have to step back to build.
So this framework begins with the deeply uncomfortable act of clearing the site. You can't build a skyscraper on a cluttered lot, right? And you definitely can't build a new life without stepping back from daily distractions. For 90 days, the mandate is strict isolation. That means completely removing social media, Instagram, Facebook, WhatsApp. These apps are literally designed to quietly eat your attention, one scroll at a time. It also means skipping parties and socializing. Now, you might be wondering, why make such a drastic temporary trade-off? Well, because underneath all of this restriction is one ultimate target: financial freedom. The framework argues that financial freedom just isn't built in rooms full of distraction. It requires the deep, uninterrupted bandwidth that you only ever get in the quiet.
Section 2. Foundations of success. Let's look at the philosophical groundwork here. To prevent this from just being a painful exercise in loneliness, the system demands a massive mindset shift. You absolutely must prioritize privacy over the crowd, focus over endless connections, and mastery over multitasking. In our modern world, the crowd is always in your pocket, right? Constantly demanding attention via texts and apps. And the trap so many of us fall into is people-pleasing, just trying to be constantly available to everyone. But here's the reality. When your energy is scattered in 100 different directions, it is mathematically impossible to achieve mastery in any single one. You literally have to shut the crowd out to build something substantial.
Now, if this sounds a bit extreme, the framework points to historical precedents where breakthroughs actually required profound solitude. Think about Thomas Edison. He famously utilized extended periods of isolation, pulling away from social norms just to protect his inventive process from outside noise. Similarly, Henry Ford was notorious for retreating to his workshop and literally locking the doors, physically shutting out executives and distractions until his engineering work was done. The lesson drawn from these historical examples is pretty clear. Sometimes you have to firmly lock the door on the world to actually unlock your own potential.
Section 3. The 5 core pillars. This is the structural steel of the system.
We're moving into the heaviest part of our explainer now, the pillars that hold this 90-day transformation together when that initial motivation inevitably wears off. Pillar 1 is extreme focus, and it revolves around this concept of the 99%. The framework argues that 99% of people live an average life, precisely because they spread themselves way too thin. Their skills are a mile wide, but only an inch deep. To escape that 99%, you must commit to becoming an absolute expert in one lane. You have to decide what you are going to be great at and then violently eliminate everything else.
Pillar 2 is clarity and visualization. Step 1 is specific goal creation. You can't just use a vague wish like, "Oh, I want to be rich." No, it must be a clear, measurable target. Step 2 is reading that goal 3 times daily to activate Step 3, which is subconscious programming. Think about how many of your daily actions, like automatically reaching for your phone the second you're bored, are completely subconscious. By aggressively feeding your mind the exact same target over and over,
It's like a cheat code. You begin to automatically shape your decisions and habits to align with that goal without even realizing you're doing it. Pillar 3, specialized knowledge, is where the real heavy lifting happens. The system requires 4 to 6 hours of daily study in one specific domain. The blueprint highlights John D. Rockefeller here. He built his massive empire not on broad general business knowledge, but on deep, highly specialized expertise in the oil refining industry. But listen, the absolute secret ingredient here is immediate implementation. Learning without applying is literally just entertainment. If you study for 6 hours but don't execute, you just become a very educated spectator. You have to immediately put that knowledge to work in the real world.
Moving on to Pillar 4, mind discipline. This demands you know the crucial difference between what is truly important versus what merely feels urgent. Urgent tasks scream for your attention, like a random notification or some fabricated emergency from a coworker, but they rarely actually move the needle on your goals. Important tasks, on the other hand, are the quiet, difficult, deep work sessions that actually build your future. The discipline comes from creating a daily top 3 task list of those important items and aggressively finishing them before you allow yourself to react to any urgent demands.
Finally, Pillar 5 is self-reflection. You cannot improve a system if you never measure it, which is exactly why this framework requires a daily thinking hour. This is dedicated time to sit quietly and mastermind with yourself. You look at what you did right, but more importantly, you objectively evaluate your mistakes. Now, the human ego absolutely hates looking at mistakes, which is why most people avoid this entirely. But by forcing yourself to do this daily, you ensure you don't repeat the same errors, effectively creating a feedback loop for rapid, continuous self-improvement.
Section 4, protective boundaries. How to defend your new mindset.
Okay, so now that you've built this structure, you have to actively defend it, because trust me, the external world will always try to pull you back to the status quo. You have to erect strict walls against what the blueprint calls dream killers. This means aggressively cutting out negative people who drain your energy. It also means absolutely avoiding useless gossip. Gossip isn't just harmless talk, it's a massive cognitive leak. It clutters your mental bandwidth with cheap entertainment and steals the very focus you are working so hard to cultivate. Guarding your mindset is honestly just as critical as doing the work itself.
And that protection naturally extends to your digital life with strict media control. If you cannot remove social media entirely for your work, the limit is a rigid 45 minutes per day, and entertainment is restricted to just once a week. The core philosophy here is to avoid digital illusions. Think about it. The fake dopamine hits of getting 100 likes or binge watching a whole season, they trick your brain into feeling a sense of achievement. You feel productive, but you haven't actually built any real-world equity. You have to starve those illusions to feed your reality.
Section 5, the 90-day journey. Let's trace the timeline of evolution.
Let's map out exactly how your psychology is expected to evolve over this 3-month timeline. Days 0 to 30 are categorized as a hard struggle. Your brain is going to fight you, screaming for its old dopamine hits and easy social comforts. The friction is massive. But if you push through, days 30 to 60 shift into a phase of growing ease. The new routine starts to actually click. Your focus deepens and the friction drops significantly. By days 60 to 90, the framework claims these habits solidify into your permanent nature. It ceases to be a forced routine. It simply becomes who you are. To actually survive that timeline, the system provides a few crucial success tips. First, celebrate milestones to keep your morale high when the isolation feels a bit too heavy. Second, keep a daily journal. This is critical because it helps you process the intense mental shifts and friction you're undergoing so you don't just throw in the towel. And finally, protect your momentum. Once you have the engine running smoothly in month 2, you have to recognize that a single weekend of falling back into old habits can completely derail 40 days of hard work. You have to keep the train moving.
So, we've decoded the entire blueprint: the disappearance, the pillars, the boundaries, and the timeline. Look at your own habits right now. Consider the noise you let in, the notifications you respond to, and the energy you give away to the crowd. What are you currently allowing to steal your focus? The blueprint outlines a very clear path, but the decision is ultimately yours. What would actually happen if you dedicated your own 90 days to this level of extreme, uncompromising focus?
Before we wrap this explainer up, a final reminder: this presents a personal development framework for informational and motivational purposes only. It's not professional, medical, or financial advice. Real-world isolation and major life changes carry real risks, for sure. Always use your own best judgment, and please consult a qualified professional before rewriting the rules of your life. But
But as you close this explainer, I'll leave you with this thought. If you don't build protective walls around your focus today, whose dreams are you going to spend the next 90 days building? Thank you so much.